Praise the Lord, my dear friends. We are on the third Sunday in ordinary times, and today in the Gospel we see Jesus calling his first disciples. We are all called into certain ways of life. Some of us may be called into consecrated life, whether priesthood, religious life, or secular institutes. Some of us may be called into married life. Some of you may be still discerning your call, trying to figure out what may be the way of life in which the Lord wants you to live. In the Gospel, when we see those individuals whom the Lord called, we see certain preconditions that existed in them. If we are people who are trying to discern God's call, it's important that we make sure that we too have those preconditions in us, that when the Lord calls, we may recognize it and follow the Lord. Firstly, we see Simon and Andrew. They were working. The Lord called people who were working hard, because the Lord wants people to give their total commitment in the ministry. They were casting their nets into the sea when the Lord called them. The quality of being hard workers is important, whether it is in our studies or in the duties that are entrusted to us. That is why St. Paul in Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 says, "Let us not get tired of doing good." Or again in Romans chapter 12 verse 11, "Do not hesitate to be enthusiastic and be on fire in the Spirit as you serve the Lord." So it will be wrong for us to say that we will not really focus on this particular study or that particular work because the Lord has another plan for me, or I want a different way of life, so that the work or the responsibility that are entrusted to me, I won't really pay much attention. No, the Lord wants us to do our best in whatever responsibilities that are entrusted to us, because the way we work hard now will be the way we will be working hard in the future when the Lord entrusts us with certain ministry. Secondly, we see James and John mending their nets. Here we see two individuals who actually took good care of what really belonged to them. They had a sense of belonging. The Lord actually wants individuals, those who take really good care of whatever is entrusted to them. Now, this whatever is entrusted is not only just material properties, but also the gifts and talents that are entrusted to them. We need to be individuals who really practice and develop all the gifts and qualities that the Lord has given to us, and then use it in turn for the glory of the Lord and the good of His people. That is why in 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 10 we have, "As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another." Thirdly, we see these individuals, both the groups, both the brothers, they left everything and followed the Lord immediately. When they followed the Lord, they did not know who Jesus was exactly, or what would be the way of life that they would be entering into. But they were willing to take the risk. They were willing to put their whole life into the hands of the Lord in complete trust. That is something we too need if we are discerning. We should not think that we will follow when we are absolutely or 100% certain of everything. No, following the Lord is always taking a risk. But that risk will not be a painful experience, because once we have entrusted ourselves into the hands of the Lord, He will lead us. That is why in John chapter 1 verse 38 onwards, we see the disciples of John the Baptist asking the Lord, "Rabbi, where do you live?" And Jesus told them, "Come and see." They went and stayed with Jesus and then decided to become Jesus' disciples. They began to follow Jesus. So if we are discerning our call, it's important that we take a risk to open ourselves and share with someone who can really help us, or to go and stay somewhere, maybe in a religious house or a seminary, or with someone with whom we can experience the particular way of life that we are considering to enter. It's really worth giving a try. And fourthly, we see these individuals whom Jesus called in today's Gospel working together with their family members. They were individuals who were able to work together in peace and harmony with their family members. So Jesus requires individuals who are capable and willing to work together, work in peace and harmony with everyone. It's so important because the ministry of the Lord is actually to bring His peace to the whole world, to become a messenger of God's love and peace. And so if we ourselves are not living in peace in our families or communities, how can we become messengers of God's love and peace to the rest of the world? And that's exactly the reason why in the second reading we see St. Paul writing to the Christians in Corinth. Here, St. Paul was concerned because he heard that there are quarrels and divisions among the people in Corinth. So he was encouraging them to live in unity and harmony. So, my dear friends, if you feel that you too are discerning your call, and then you feel that you are willing to work really hard in the service of the Lord and for the good of His people, and you are willing to develop all the gifts and talents that are given to you by the Lord and use it for the glory of the Lord and in service of His people, and that you are excited about becoming a messenger of God's love and peace to the rest of the world, it is worth taking a risk. It is worth taking a risk and giving it a try by opening yourself up to someone who can help you in your discernment, or have an experience of that way of life by staying a couple of weeks in a religious house or a seminary. Who knows? Probably the Lord wants to make you someone who can bring the light to people who sit in darkness, like what we hear in the first reading from Prophet Isaiah. And if you wish to discuss on this, feel free to contact the email ID or the phone number you may find in the description. May God bless each one of us.